So, Mike, an extremely odd question slash thought crossed my mind earlier today. Very random.
Mm-hmm.
Do you care to hear said thought?
I am riveted and waiting.
You are riveted to the chair right now.
Well, yeah.
I have no idea. Looking back, it wasn't that long ago. It was only earlier today, but I don't remember why this popped into my brain. Oh, I just remembered right now because of a text message I sent you while I was on break at work, where I had like a moment and I texted you like ideas for the podcast and all that. And then at one point later, you wrote back and you said, "Okay, got it." And then,
yeah.
I mean, it's just, which is fine. Or it was like, "I got it," I think.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
I don't
totally
think I
fine.
had the eye on it, but yeah.
No, you didn't. That's right. You just wrote back, "Got it." And as sometimes text messages are wont to do, if that's the correct way of phrasing it, they sometimes can be misinterpreted as to
absolutely.
how.
Yeah. You have to guess at what the emotions are.
Right. And so I'm just being honest. My initial reaction was Mike was going like, "Got it!" like telling me to back off. Like, "Hey, bum, you control freak, you."
No.
I got it. That's how I initially reacted. And that is what sparked a thought in my brain.
Okay. But you know what I got to say is instead of just saying got it, I should say, "Well, thanks for letting me know, Patrick. I got the idea. That's fantastic. LOL."
Smiley face.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
but anyway.
Exactly. Maybe with a heart emoji.
I've tried that before, and you said, "Do not send me hearts. Do not send me kissy faces. Do not send me emojis that resemble any type of a hug." So I don't do that.
I have never said that.
Have I ever sent anything like that to you? I don't know.
Well, the only thing that I know I have explicitly asked you over and over again to stop sending me gifts of, and this is not a political statement of any means.
Right.
Stop sending me ridiculous Donald Trump gifts. They infect my phone. I'm just gonna I'm done right now. So moving on.
Got it.
That thought that sparked in my little noggin was, and now bear with me here.
Yes, I'm bearing.
And try not to laugh your ass
very
off.
hard.
And we do have a really cool conversation coming up today. Hopefully pretty cool.
I hope this is worth all this banter before you tell me what your idea is.
Well, if you would quit interrupting me, we'd be done by now.
I'm good at that.
I'm kidding.
Go!
Kidding.
Damn it, start. What?
See, again. See what I deal with, everybody? My gosh. The ridiculous thought. Mike, what type of drill sergeant can you envision me as?
One that gets kicked out real quick.
And some other alternate universe, some other cosmic dimension. So, and you immediately start laughing, and then you say someone who would get kicked out right away? Is that what you said?
Well, you're so sensitive. You would be crying with the boys.
But I would have been a drill sergeant at this point, so I would have made it that far. What is a drill sergeant? An E8, E7, E8, something like that? You know, the rankings. You got the corporal E4, sergeant E5, staff sergeant E6, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think I've seen. Oh, this was decades ago, but I think that I had seen sergeants and staff sergeants. Sergeants as more working their way into it, I think. But yeah, staff sergeants, tech sergeants.
Yeah.
Then I think like I had a tech sergeant, Mini Conjure Love was his name.
Oh, that's an awesome name.
Yeah, he was half black and half Native American, and he was nice when he wanted to be, but boy, everyone was afraid of him. You always hear this. The drill sergeants, they're just this tough, but it's just their job, and then they're away from the job, they're totally different. But this guy, I don't think he was different.
He didn't fit that cliched stereotype.
Oh man, it was rough. But yeah,
another tough guy drill sergeant who is a softie off screen, Clint Eastwood from
Oh,
Heartbreak
yeah.
Ridge.
Yeah. I haven't seen that movie in years, but good movie.
It's kind of ridiculous, but yeah, it's not too bad. So,
Well,
anyways, we're moving on, but
yes,
I
we
know
are.
it's an absolutely ridiculous idea of this 5'7", 145 pound mound of energetic muscle and terror that is known as Patrick Hoffenberg. I know it's silly to think of me as a drill sergeant, but other than very small and dainty, I think maybe I could have, in some other universe, other existence, I could have been at least a very slightly annoying drill sergeant.
Look at Sergeant Carter on Gomer Pyle. He wasn't very tall.
There you go. So
Yeah.
there's hope. There's hope for another existence of mine. Anyways, Mike, thank you for joining me, my friend. It feels like it's been forever, and it was just last week.
Yeah, it has. Well, it has. Well, for doing a flagship, if you will.
Absolutely. And if you haven't heard, between flagship episodes, the last one we recorded was early September, Something Like a Monster. That was an awesome one. It seemed to go over pretty well. Since then, we recorded a YouTube exclusive video episode and another Patreon video episode available, guess what? Only on Patreon. So there you go. Closing in on episode 80, Mike. Lots of good stuff going on over at the Patreon page. We'd love to see you guys there if you care to help support the Paranormally Zone. But we are back. It is September 20th. Mike, I'm thinking I'm calling this episode Ghosts! ! It's in the blood. Now, what do we mean by it's in the blood? As Mike and I were talking about earlier on before we started recording, my original title was It's All in the Family.
Right.
But then we both picture Archie Bunker and, sitting at the piano and those were the days. And I don't think that'd go over too well, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Gee, the old LaSalle ran great.
Am I watching?
Were the days.
I feel like I'm watching a rerun right now. That was talented, Mike. Very, very talented. No, we're talking about, sadly, but unfortunately true for several of us, we've had family members who have passed over, gone on to that other existence over yonder, wherever that may be. And we're talking about potential visitations of passed on loved ones. And Mike, here's kind of the catch here. Are certain families, certain lineages, certain bloodlines perhaps more prone to experience such ghostly visitations? And yeah, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at the Charbonneau line. I'm looking at Mike Carbonneau and his brother Steve, who we mentioned in graphic detail on the Patreon episode.
I know. I need to send a text to my brother very soon, and I was going to apologize to him for that. I mean, I was going to text him for other things.
He's the one who wrote it.
I know, but he's not the one that put it on the dang episode.
Well, he should know better by now. If he sends me any sort of message, and if I find it remotely entertaining, interesting.
at whoever's expense.
Well, sure. And he also knows that I'm kidding. And it was pertaining to the topic at hand. And it is going to pertain heavily to what we're talking about tonight. As I mentioned on the twits and on various social media outlets, not only has my co-host with the Ghosts, the paranormal poster boy himself, Mr. Michael Carbonneau, been experiencing an uptick of paranormal activity in his humble abode as of late, so has the aforementioned brother Steve. And that kind of got the thought train rolling. I was like, why, oh why, are two brothers who live hours and hours apart experiencing this paranormal uptick at the same time? Kind of makes you scratch your head. Do you have any thoughts off the top of your head, Mike, as to why this would be occurring at the same time?
No.
That's a no. Okay.
No, I don't know. It's there could be theories behind it, but if it is family that is.
Can you hold your mic closer to your lovely goatee? There you go. Thank you.
How's that? Is that a little better?
Oh, that's way better. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Testing 1, 2,
1,
3.
2.
Anyway,
yeah, go ahead.
If it is a family thing, my parents, our parents can be wherever, whenever they want. If they're trying to, give us a little, hey, we're here. But I'm not sure about. I'm sure that does happen over at Steve's place, but there are stories of the land that the house is built on, and the house that was on that same spot where they live now. That make things. There's probably something there connected to the land, connected to the house that used to be there that is now their house, a newer house built on that same property, on that same area where the old house was. But it's that, I believe, is affecting them quite a bit.
That's interesting. Yeah, I totally buy into that possibility, 110%, for sure. Mike, we need, without any further ado, we need to dive into this stuff. We need to open up, as we do per usual, new listeners. And believe it or not, we do get new listeners from time to time.
All over the world.
All over the world. And if you are new to the program, thank you very much. We appreciate you checking out the podcast. This is the Paranormal Zone, your weekly dose of hell, you guessed it, all things paranormal, strange, and mysterious. My name is Patrick Hoffberg, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host with the ghosts, the paranormal poster boy himself, the man who not only used the phrase stroking and wood during the
stroking and knocking on the wood, because
okay,
I wanted to make sure I had a good physical knock on there. So the stroke just kind of put it over the top. And I'm not trying to be, flippant.
Flippant all you want. Flippant all you want. Well, I'll go to my second name of choice. The man known not only as Hot Chocolate, but White Casper. I have no idea what the hell that means, but he said Hot Chocolate earlier today, and I'm going to call you Hot Chocolate from now on. Mr. Mike Carbonneau. Again, thanks for tuning in, Mike, or thanks for joining me, Mike. You're not tuning in. You're actually here. You're doing this podcast. I am
here, and the reason Hot Chocolate is because we were talking about the song I Believe in Miracles.
That's absolutely
you sexy
right.
Thing.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely.
And I think I've done enough singing for the next 10 episodes.
There's never enough singing, Mike. Never enough singing on the Paranormal Zone.
Well, you should hear my Robert Goulet.
Ooh.
Goulet!
Very good. Very good.
I can do some Tom Jones. What's new, pussycat? Whoa, 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 whoa. There we go. I'm done. Carry on.
It looks like I'm looking right at the real Tom Jones. You guys got very similar facial hair now, so and very similar hair color.
Yeah,
that's where the similarities stop. That's where the similarities stop, right?
But we will always enjoy the time we had watching him in concert together.
100%. 100%. But anyways, going back full circle. Sorry for the little mini tangent there, everybody. As longtime listeners know, ding, ding, dingy, ding, ding, we start off each and every new flagship episode with a segment known as dun, 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 dun. Yes, that's right, Ghost Gab. And this is a good Ghost Gab because it's a perfect segue into the topic at hand. Mike?
Yes.
You sent me a really interesting picture the other day.
Okay. I got a lot of
not
here,
that one.
Not
that one.
Okay.
No, not that one. No, you and Mary visited a particular cemetery.
Yes, we did.
And I wanted you to talk about your experiences at said cemetery and why they are important to you and how it pertains to the topic at hand.
Now? You want me to start now?
No, anytime later on. Anytime you want to. Let's take a break here. It's all good. It's all good.
Anyway, yes, we went to a cemetery.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah. What did I do?
I just want to play this because it's been so long.
Okay.
I hope. Well, no, this is a new one, but this is how I feel when Mike and I are finally back recording together. Okay?
I feel like I'm going to get embarrassed.
And it feels so good.
Woohoo! Peaches and Herb.
Well, that was actually the Family Guy version of that. But
okay. All right. Well,
Peaches and Herb.
Herb.
All right, I'm sorry.
Well, wasn't that Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis Jr. that did that after they broke off of the fifth dimension?
I have no flipping idea. You're wowing me with your trivial knowledge right now. I'm impressed.
Yeah. Oh well, I could be
So-
totally wrong.
And I also could keep on interrupting you, but I won't. So please,
No,
you and
so
Mary.
what you're telling me is shut the hell up.
No, I want you to start speaking.
Yes, Mary and I, we did go to, it's a cemetery in Fargo, way up on the north end, kind of almost remote. It's quiet, peaceful, Catholic cemetery. And we go and, we'll stop by her mom and dad's grave. And she also has a brother that's buried there in the baby section because he died at birth. And we've talked about him on previous episodes where I had actually seen him, and very emotional in a very good way. Just an amazing thing. But so the last time we were there, Mary actually had, and this was a couple of months ago. Mary, I could see him all happy that we're there. Just like it was so clear, jumping up and down and like clapping his hands and just so excited. And as I saw that, and Mary could see that in her head as well. So she was actually sharing this, with me. It was fantastic. But this last time, the other day when we were there, went to the same place, parked in the same place, and it's a little bit of a walk, but not much to get to the grave. But we were sitting there finishing eating our ready to go hot pizza that we bought. We do that and get it in the car and kind of have a car.
Okay, hold on. You go and eat pizza at cemeteries?
Well, this time we did. What is it, Little Caesars?
That's
You
fine.
can get that. It's like a $8 pizza. You go in there and say you want the large pepperoni, and they'll give it to you right there. It's
And then
already ready to go, hot and ready.
Not that they ever do that, but if they say, well, where are you going to go eat this? Why do we have to get it ready in 5 minutes? And you'll say, well, because we're going to a cemetery.
We're on the way to the cemetery to see my brother-in-law and my in-laws. So, and then we have a little bite of pizza before we go. No, that's actually the first time that we did that. Usually we eat it on the way home. But anyway.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I get you off track every now and then. So please continue.
Not as bad as I get myself off track, but that's okay.
That's okay.
So anyway, where was I? Dang it. Okay. So the last time we were there, we were sitting in the car finishing our pizza.
No.
I don't. But anyway, we were, chomping on our pizza, and I was looking out at the trees, and there's a couple of trees that were, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 feet in front of us. It's just two lone trees, and maybe 30 feet apart. And this is the first thing that happened. I actually did see, and I questioned myself at the time, but I did see like a black mass, almost, it was shapeless, it wasn't shaped into anything identifiable, but it was yes, and it was like flat on the top, flat on the bottom, but at the end of it, where it was, the direction it was moving, that end was more kind of pointy, like two pointy, not appendages or anything, but, like an arm or a leg. It's just this black mass.
Can you say the word pointy again?
Pointy.
I'm sorry.
Pointy. Sharp, pointy teeth.
Okay, button bar. That was just perfect. I want to have that on the sound bar eventually. Just Mike saying pointy.
I was just going to say, I bet that's going to be a sound bite that listeners probably getting tired.
I'm sorry.
Of Carbno sound bites. We should have a few Patrick's.
No, my voice is annoying enough as it is. They don't need me to pound it into their memory banks any more than it already is.
It would make very fun sound bites.
I
have nothing.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
But anyway, I just saw that for a few seconds, and it wasn't like out of the corner of my eye. It's like I was looking in that direction, and then I saw it. Definitely not floaters or anything in my eyes. So that was interesting. I enjoyed that. But then after we finished our pizza, we got out and started walking to the cemetery. But before we got out, I mean, I could see in my third eye, my mind, whatever, I could see David there by the grave, but he was pacing back and forth. And
this is what he would look like now, or what he looked like?
well, same thing as what I saw him as when I first saw him, as like a young teenager, just this very happy, angelic young kid. And that's what I saw, but he seemed impatient. And I was like, wow, I think we've been in the car eating pizza for too long, But Mary got the same feeling. Her and I are really connecting on that level of that spiritual, that being able to feel things and see things. Well, she's very empathic the way it is.
So almost like on a psychic level, you guys are connecting even more and more?
It sure seems like it, I mean, and it wouldn't surprise me because the closeness that we have, it's a big spiritual thing, like soulmate type thing, and deeper. But anyway, but the energy was not as strong as the first time I had seen him, or the last time that we were there at the cemetery, because that time he was jumping and excited and happy and just so happy. But this time it was there, but like I said, it was a weaker energy. As we got closer to the grave, it's like it was fading. I wasn't, picking up as much, but we were there for a little while and enjoyed that and talked a little bit about, things there and everything, and about David. And so,
can you explain? Ow! I just hit my hand on the table. Can you share? Well, can you discuss the picture that you shared with me?
Oh, the picture. That was amazing. While we were standing there at the grave, I brought up my camera and I was going to take a picture of Mary. She was like, I don't know, 3 feet in front of me or whatever. And so I put the camera up, and the whole screen was just pure white. I mean, I couldn't see anything, and our camera has never done that. And I was confused. I was trying to, get rid of that and start it over again, but I couldn't. But when I brought the camera up, I thought, well, I'm going to see, what happens. I brought the camera up, and it was still very white, but I could actually still see Mary in that, that whiteness, like the figure. I could see, like, I could tell there was her jeans and shirt and all that, but it was like in a fog. It was just really interesting. I thought, okay, I'm going to take the picture anyway. So I took the picture, and when I looked at it right away, it was this, like when she was standing there with her, her side was facing me, and there is this bright light. It was big, bright light. It was in front of her, kind of up high a little bit, and part of it was covering like part of her face, and it was so bright that everything that was behind it, like there was a building behind it and everything, and that was all gone. You couldn't see it. It was just this white, very bright light, and that's a picture I'll never get rid of. It was just amazing.
Now, you had said that had never happened before on your phone. Has it happened since?
No, not at all. And if anybody that knows a lot about phone cameras, if they have had this happen or if they have an explanation,
right?
I would love to hear about it. Because we want to know if
if it's a glitch of some sort. Yeah,
right. We both would love to have it be the energy or the spirit of her brother or something that's there. So.
And do you have a vibe at all about the photo, or do you think it's it's a random capture? If this is paranormal in nature, and again, it's a big if. We're just being honest. It's a big if. We don't know.
Exactly.
It could simply be a camera defect of some sort. If it is paranormal in nature, do you have a vibe, Mike? Do you think it's just the energy that perhaps Mary's brother is creating that you happen to pick up, or some other entity?
Well, of course, knowing me and my belief system, I'm like, okay, yeah, to me that was very paranormal, but you still want to make sure, you still want to go over the possibilities of what it could be. But it felt really good, that it was a paranormal thing. And what was the second part of that question?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Oh, dang it, Christopher.
I don't know.
Yeah, you should have spoke up earlier. I call him Chris.
Yeah.
We're that close.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He taught me how to dance, actually. Did you know that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fat Boy Slim, or whatever
yeah.
they call it.
Yeah, that's
I love
actually,
that video when it came
It's actually
out.
my body with Christopher Walken's face superimposed.
Or
Little known fact.
Or is it his body with your face superimposed?
Well, do you see my face? No, you see Christopher Walken's face.
Yeah. You look good in a suit.
And by the way, I'm not nearly tall enough to be Christopher Walken. I think I'd come up to his navel, probably. But
I wonder how tall he is.
I don't know. He's taller than me. That's all that matters.
How tall is Christopher Walken?
Mike's talking into his phone. I want to say 6'2".
5'11".
5'11". Oh, I gave him a couple extra inches there.
I used
Quite a
to be
few extra
5'11".
inches.
I used to be 5'11 and 3/4, but now I'm just 5'9".
Well, yeah, shit.
Seriously, I
It
know.
happens, man. It happens. Well, we mentioned the great Clint Eastwood earlier. I mean, God bless him. The guy's 93, 94, and he used to be a strapping 6'4" himself, and I think he's down to under 6 feet now. It just happens,
Yeah.
Hey.
You know why he got so much shorter? He's playing too much pickleball.
Is it?
I don't know.
It's funny with the new job, Mike. And I during my lunch breaks, get nice hour-long lunch breaks. I've never had that before in my entire life. I usually don't. I've never really utilized lunch breaks, anyways.
You could take a nap.
But we have to, but I have an hour. So, anyways, I drive down. I go down to the beach/park area, and I just park there, and I overlook the beautiful lake, and I do whatever. And there happens to be also on the little drive down there, Mike, several pickleball courts. So that's why,
Really?
and they're usually very occupied
Yeah.
with very healthy, happy, energetic, not very youthful people playing their pickleball out in like 90-degree heats. And I'm like, holy cripes. Awesome.
It would be good exercise. I actually have a pickleball paddle.
Ooh, do you use that in the bedroom? Or is that...
No, but it's
I got to get my
it's
mind out of
actually
the
really
gutter.
it's actually a really nice one. It's this nice wood paddle and beautiful.
Very cool.
I
Well,
might sell
I mean-
it on Marketplace. I don't know.
Slightly used
Yeah.
pickleball.
But very good condition.
But
I give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay. I gotcha.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, you should advertise it as a 10 out of 10, and then you can haggle a little bit.
Yeah,
if people are
but then when they
disappointed in
see it, it's like, no, this is a 3.
it. Well, still, like I said,
But
that's the
yeah,
haggling, Mike. You gotta haggle. You
right.
gotta haggle. So I think that is a really cool, interesting experience that
Oh,
both
it's
you and
fantastic.
Mary had. Now, did Mary? We need to move on from this, obviously, because you know that there's impatient listeners out there because we hear from them all the time. Did
but
Mary?
we love them anyway.
We do. Did Mary feel anything unique during that experience?
No, she did not
Okay,
say
okay.
anything about feeling anything, but we were both pretty in tune and everything. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and we both loved the picture. I mean, it's just really
Yeah, it's really
pretty
unique.
amazing.
Would you mind if I posted that on Patreon, Mike, just for people to take a look at?
I'll have to ask Mary that one.
Oh, very, very true. Of
Yeah.
course, because she's in. Of course, yes. I apologize for jumping the gun there. Of course.
Oh no. But I understand why you would ask that. So
Well, I post pictures of you on a hill,
yeah, but that
standing
was at a
rock, and
distance, wasn't it? Or
yeah.
yes, it
'cause-
was.
Yes, it's at a very extreme distance because I just
That
always
was-
think that the image is humorous to me. I don't know why. Because
That's what's humorous to me is when you kind of walked off of that mound that we were standing on where the rock is, the standing rock, And you were quite a ways away, and you look pretty ant-like on a
I'm sure.
on a blade of grass. I mean, it was tall grass, and it's like I
Yeah.
see Patrick with his head sticking out of this grass. I'm exaggerating that a little bit.
Yeah,
but-
and then he also heard "Help me, help me, help me, help me."
yeah. But
But I was fine. But hey, quick, Patreon plug again. Sorry, I'll keep it super, super brief. But those pictures were interesting, Mike, because several panoramic shots that we took, we captured that flying object in the background that was checking us out. And I don't know what the hell was it, just a freaking drone? I'm not sure, but it was really unique because you had said earlier on that you spotted something in the distance.
I did.
Hovering slowly and kind of moving from
your back was towards it, and it was just a pure white circular orb type thing.
Yeah.
And boy, it was going, like to the west. And
it's just weird that we get the random pictures that I took before you told me about this.
Yeah. And then you caught it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if you want to check out Patreon, I mean, that's not the only stuff that's on there, but those pictures are there. You can zoom in and look at them, and then there they are. There's that weird object in the sky behind us. So, as Mike jokingly said, he thought that the aliens were spying on us at that time. So.
I was joking, yeah. But who knows? Maybe. Possibly.
So, Mike, we mentioned earlier, it's in the blood.
Yeah.
Before we move on that one, do you buy that topic that certain bloodlines, for lack of a better term / phrase, are more apt to experience the paranormal as opposed to others?
Well, sure. If it depends on the openness of these people and the families, and generational, like my family is generational. I absolutely believe that it can be.
So you said like the openness, and I get that. I totally understand that as well. I buy into that. Now I'm going to, as a Star Wars fan, I'm going to use the reference again of the Force. Okay, like the Skywalker family, Mike, very powerful in the Force. They are okay. The prequels go as far, to a lot of fans' chagrin, to kind of physically describe the Force and those who are more successful in utilizing the Force because they have what George Lucas creatively described as midichlorians, Mike. Midichlorians are these microscopic life forms that reside in your blood cells. And that, if they have a super, super, super high midichlorian count, their potential of connecting with the Force is that much higher. So, as an example there, paranormally speaking, do you buy into some sort of physical explanation like that, where it literally is in the blood, Mike? Not necessarily just being more open to it, but physically being able to do it.
Sure. I think, if you speak that way, it's like if there's a family that lives in an area where there's a high concentration of neutrinos that are bombarding their bodies and shooting through them.
Okay. See, I'm serious, okay?
I know.
Serious.
But yes, I agree. I agree with you. I think that's very possible. Very genetically, if there's a...
What would you call them, Mike? If George Lucas called force-prone people, if he called those microscopic life forms... Okay, I'm going to try it again. Microscopic. Good golly, Miss Molly, get my tongue out of my butt, and maybe I'll be able to host a podcast someday.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's a talent. Kind of gross, but if the
midichlorians I'm glad I don't have.
Are microscopic life forms, referring to the Force, what would you refer to as paranormal microscopic life forms, Mike? Do you have any idea?
Buttons.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Should we just call them buttons?
No, I would call them pasty white ghosty.
Okay, there you go. Okay, or PWGs. Okay,
yes.
They're loaded with PWGs. All right, from now on, if you are loaded with PWGs, actually, I think I have that soundbite here. Where is it? Maybe I don't. Oh, yeah, if you're loaded with...
pasty white ghosty.
Yeah, you're more apt to encounter a ghost. So, but you, in all sincerity, you think, you buy into the possibility that physically certain lineages, certain family lines, and so on and so forth.
Physically, mentally, spiritually, it's just genetic DNA shared DNA,
Mm, mm.
and DNA itself could be another life force that's been built into us from the beginning. Who knows? That's because like what the DNA does for us, and what it means for each physical body. It probably means more than what anybody even knows yet.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, yeah. I mean, obviously, it was groundbreaking. It was a groundbreaking scientific discovery, scientific confirmation. And
Absolutely.
what you're throwing out there, which again, I'm open-minded to it, is that we've just scratched the surface of what that possibly could mean in its entirety.
And look at what it means to us now. For what we do know.
We used to do segments and complete episodes devoted to what we refer to as, quite originally, right, creative, as head scratchers. Yeah. Something like that would fit perfectly into a head scratcher episode, Mike.
It would.
Because, again, I don't want to go off on a rant, but when things spark in my brain, I have to spew them out, or else I'm going to have nightmares later on. I'm going to start forming boils on my face of just negative energy.
Just don't start throwing up because of it.
I'll try not to.
I would throw up too.
But, just the whole idea of just, the pseudo-skeptics again, Mike, who don't even give one bat of an eyelash to the possibility of the unknown.
We do respect their...
We do, of course we do, but we also disagree with them 195,000%, because it drives me nuts when half of their arguments is, well, prove it to me scientifically. Science doesn't know it yet, so therefore I don't believe in it. Well, then my argument right back at them is, well, then let's just quit. Let's stop science right now because we know everything.
Right.
We've accomplished the absolute pinnacle of human knowledge. Let's stop. There's nothing else out there that's worth discovering because we know it all. So that's where it bugs me. It's like, it's fine. It's fine if you don't believe in ghosts, and it's fine that your rationale is because science hasn't proven them yet. But the idea that science could not ever prove it sometime down the road, that's asinine to me, because we don't know. There's no way we could possibly know. That's half of our arguments over and over again. And we repeat ourselves, but I think it's worthwhile.
Right.
So that was a mini tangent. Sorry, I'm done.
We survived it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That deserves a round of applause. No, this is for our 5 listeners out there.
Yes, get over there!
We will. Sorry. Okay, anyways. Yeah, we're up to 5 listeners, Mike. We're breaking personal records.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned earlier, going full circle back to the topic at hand.
Right. Good idea.
You and your brother have been experiencing some paranormal upticks in your own humble abodes, Mike. You've mentioned a few of them. I think you talked about them on the prior episode, something like a monster. I don't believe anything odd has happened other than your recent cemetery experience. But your brother has also been experiencing odd happenings at his house.
Correct.
Now, if these are related in any way, Mike, and that's the key word, related, why do you think stuff is happening for both of you and your brother right now?
Well,
what pops into your brain?
What pops into my brain is, well, I think we might be at a time, and I don't know about my brother and everything. I know that they're happy and doing great and everything. But in my case, as I've spewed about too often already, that I have yes, I have a lot of issues. I'm not going into any medical things, but I'm having a lot of problems with that. So I think, for me, I think my parents and I have felt my parents around, and they're here for a comforting reason, checking up on us reason, and I think Steve and I both experience that. It's just like family keeping an eye on us and letting us know that they're there. But now, we both have that. I know Steve probably has that issue, and Steve and his wife Lori, and I definitely know it here. But at the same time, we're both experiencing something that goes beyond that, much older, much going far back. Like I've said before, our house is it's like 142 years old now. No, yeah, something like that. Anyway, it's math. I can't do that. But anyway, what?
Nothing. Okay, Mike could tell I was going to say something, but he caught me. He stopped me in my tracks. So,
but
continue.
Okay, and anyway, like I was saying about Steve's place before, that the house that they live in is a beautiful, nice house, newer house, and but before that, there was a very old house that was there with what I had understood was a very grumpy old man that lived there. And so...
Walter Matthau?
Yeah.
Jack Lemmon?
Jack Lemmon, I was thinking more, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No. But you say Walter Matthau, and all I see is Walter Matthau with chiclets in front of his teeth.
Oh, man.
Dennis the Menace. But anyway... but yeah, I think that we are both experiencing the old that has been long before we've ever existed, and plus the visitations and the checking up on by our parents.
And as you have mentioned several times on the podcast before, Mike, you believe that a lot of your paranormal interest was inherited directly from your dad, because your dad was very open-minded to the paranormal, the unexplained, the unknowable.
Yeah.
Kind of exposed you to that and gave you that, I think, proper attitude of being open-minded to this stuff, not being cynical and however you want to describe it.
And that's starting as back as far as I can remember, as young as I can remember my dad.
But did your dad? Do you remember? I hate putting you on the spot, but I love putting you on the spot.
No, that's okay.
But this is a sincere question. Did your dad ever tell you any personal ghost stories that he had gone through or experienced? If you don't remember any right now, that's fine.
I really don't. But Steve, when you're listening, if you can think of anything, let us know, because that's a very interesting question.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. If he had any really odd paranormal happenings during his time here.
Right.
And again, it bears repeating. We've shared it several times. When your dad passed away, it wasn't long afterwards, I believe, if I'm recalling correctly, it was like on your way to work, not that long afterward, you had that very strong experience in your vehicle where you swear you started to, and I'm not being gross, and this isn't meant to be a gross description, but you swear that you began to smell a very specific odor,
right?
That you said that was my dad. That's what my dad smelled.
Definitely directly connected to my father.
And no one else that you knew, no one else smelled like that. It's like it's like, nope, that was him. He was there. He was just letting me know that he was there for whatever reason.
Yeah, and it's not like he had this odor to him. But he was
like a BO where he's like, you're rolling down the windows and like, God damn it, get out of here, Dad. No, it's not that.
The thing is though, that for for as long as I can remember, he was a junker. I mean, doing scrap metal and picking up scrap metal, and he always had a pickup over the decades to do this kind of thing, and he did a lot of aluminum cans and digging in dumpsters, but some of the stuff he would find was amazing, things that people throw away,
and some of that's in your basement, I bet.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
No, I'm saying that's cool because you've like accumulated a lot of stuff from your dad's collection.
Tons of stuff. But yeah, so there is that smell that I really caught very strongly, and then it come and go really quick.
And again, it's worth repeating. We mentioned it just on the last episode. I'm sure, at least it was the Patreon episode, where several times, and this isn't recent happenings, but you've had strange occurrences at your house that you've directly correlated with your dad being there. It's like,
Right.
that's my dad. He's doing this to me. Like when you got tapped on the head.
Well, actually, that was when something actually fell on my head.
That's right. That's when something fell off. You couldn't tell where it came from.
Well, it was definitely from above, and like kind of in my podcast area here, and there was nothing that could have fallen, and it popped me on the head, and it was definitely a very solid object.
The disappearing and reappearing dog tags. I mean, again, we talked about that. Seems like 107 times, but it still baffles me, and it's
in
cool.
in two different instances, the dog tags came back, and always were like came down right by Mishka, our Great Pyrenees. It was her dog tags. Like the first time she was on one side of the couch, and all of a sudden we hear this clink, like something hitting the floor. And there's like half of her dog tags with the ring on it. And then I think it was weeks later that she was laying on the floor at the other end of the couch, hear the same thing, and there's the rest of her dog tags. And I mean, and she looks like what was
She's
that?
like, hey, what happened?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But very interesting. And and that the genealogy thing, like with my father, and it was with his mother, his grandmother. It just goes way back, generational.
Again, which pertains to the topic at hand.
Right.
I mean, it seems like it's something that runs in the family for you, Mike, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think to a lesser degree, but maybe not. In its own way, I think the same thing could be said about my family line. I know that I've definitely heard ghost stories. I've heard experiences from my mom. She's shared stories with me. A few years ago, I started doing those interviews with her. I call them interviews. They're just sitting there. We're having chats
Right.
and we're talking. I'm recording them. I'm keeping them on digital right now because I think it will be something that will be awesome to listen to years down the road.
It's an awesome thing. I mean, just think what you can learn that you never know, and then
I'm doing that right now. Yeah, they have it recorded is one thing, but I'm learning so much. It's so cool to listen to her stories from childhood on up.
Well, and ask her questions about like her parents, her grandparents, how far back she knows of
100%
family, and the things you can learn are fantastic. I've learned a lot about my generations going back on certain parts of the family, and I kind of wish I didn't, but
well, no.
but
hey,
but yeah,
just
but,
good,
it, but it's all good. It's all interesting. It's all part of the family. It's all part of the family history, and to know it, whether it's good or bad, I think it's a very important thing.
Very important.
Yeah.
And again, as longtime listeners know, and I'm sure they get tired of hearing it, but a lot of the passion that I have for the paranormal relies on the fact, is based upon the fact, I should say, that my dad passed away when I was 8 years old, and that was 40 years ago now. Next May, this coming May, will be 40 years. No, this March. I'm sorry, this coming March, and it's something that obviously, as an 8-year-old, and your dad passes away. I mean, he seems like a mythical character to me. I mean, he hasn't been around for 40 years. But I want some sort of spiritual confirmation that, there is more out there. So that's half the reason I've always been very, very passionate and interested in all things paranormal, strange, and mysterious, going back to the days of checking out my Bigfoot books from the from the library as a middle schooler, but always being fascinated by ghosts and hearing ghost stories from my grandpa and all that stuff, and I'm just being blown away by them, like, oh my gosh, this stuff could be very well be real. Now, I know after my dad passed away, Mike, that my mom shared the story and I know we've talked about this before, so we apologize if you listened to this before, but she had a very, very real experience, very real to her, and a lot of people have experienced similar things, where when she was in bed at night, she was wide awake, she was conscious, she was not dreaming. This was there, but she swears on her life that the bed to her right where my dad would sleep not only sank, she felt like there was a weight on that side. She could see it. I'm not sure if she could see it, but she felt it. She knew it was there, and she swears it was my dad laying down next to her. Now, why was he there laying down next to her? Well, that's up for debate. I don't know exactly how long afterwards he passed away when she experienced this, but possibly he was there to comfort her.
Yeah,
maybe
that's the first thing I think of.
That was the first thing that popped into your brain, was comforting?
Mm-hmm.
One thing that popped into my brain, I hope it isn't true, is like he was struggling with the idea of passing on since he was such a young man, and so he was still kind of lingering. I don't want to say trapped, but he was maybe trying to go through his routine. He's like, well, it's bedtime. I'm going to lay down next to my wife here because I'm still here, even though he wasn't.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of it being comforting, like his way of maybe hopefully comforting my mom. And not only did she experience that, Mike, but one of my brothers experienced that too, which is bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of his bed, he felt, again, wide awake, felt the weight. And again, I'm not sure if, I apologize for not knowing the exact details. It's kind of a blur right now. Felt the weight, possibly saw like the edge of the bed kind of sink a little bit. Again, as if someone was sitting down at the end of his bed.
Mm-hmm. Well, the first impression I get about that is I think it was Krampus.
Think it was Krampus? Okay, more than likely. Yeah,
especially if it was your brother Joe.
It was not my brother Joe.
Okay, I was just kidding. I met Joe. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's all right.
He's all right.
I'm looking at my notes here, Mike, because we've got a lot to get to, and we're already closing in on an hour here.
Dang.
Another thing that I wrote down here was another one of my brothers, not either the one that I've mentioned already, my oldest brother. He didn't personally have an experience, but his girlfriend at the time did. She claimed she did. Now, when he and his girlfriend at the time, because he was coming up from college shortly after my dad died, probably right after, well, obviously he came up right after that, because he graduated in May of 1984, and then my dad got sick and passed away when my oldest brother was in college. So he came up and visited with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend claimed that when they were sleeping downstairs on the living room floor, because that's the only place they could sleep, she claimed that she saw his apparition, my dad's apparition, walking from the bedroom out towards the kitchen and vice versa. Mm-hmm. She claimed that. I was 8 years old. I don't flipping know. I want to believe it to be true. I don't know. No idea.
So this was very close to after the time of his passing.
Way that I don't know an exact date, but my memory, my vibes, my feelings was it was very, very close to after he had passed. Maybe it was the next major holiday they came up and visited. Sure. I really don't know. But
well, maybe he was there and just, making sure everything was going to be okay with the family after he passed.
Yep.
And it could have been a residual, possibly.
And we thank you for saying that, Mike, because we've talked about that before. And the thought that popped into my brain was residual because, again, not to be morbid and depressing and stuff. It's reality. It happens. I'm not trying to be a bummer on the episode, but when my dad was sick and he knew he was dying, that was his routine during that winter was he would walk laps around the house just trying to get some sort of physical, activity, get the blood flowing, so to speak. And he would walk from the bedroom to the kitchen, come back out, walk around the dining room table, and just kind of do circles and circles and circles. And that's kind of what she said she saw.
Well, and the fact that was such a routine when he was alive.
Yep. And I remember that, Mike. That's one of my weird memories I have in my brain.
Really?
I can still see him walking around. Yeah.
Well, that could be pertinent to the story. But anyway, such a routine that he had in his later days. I'm sure there's a lot going through his head as he was doing this walk around.
Oh, amen.
Just so much, thinking about the family. He knows he's not long for this world, and
right.
Worried about the family, worried about your mother, worried about all the kids, worried about you as the youngest. What are you going to remember? He just
Absolutely.
Had to have been just so much to his mind that gave so much energy that it could possibly have left that
imprint is
residual.
there. That
Yeah,
emotional imprint is there.
right.
Yeah, I totally buy into that possibility. Absolutely buy into that possibility. Again, I'm not saying that his line, the Koffenberg line, is more apt to paranormal. I've never heard any ghost stories from my dad's side of the family, ever. All the ghost stories stuff that I've heard is from my mom's side of the family.
Well,
So that,
your
I don't
mom,
know, that's
your
something right
mom,
there, maybe.
right? Your mom's side could have that sensitivity, and
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they don't think of it, but if they open their mind more towards that possibility of the family being that, then they could learn more about it and have more of an idea if it is really seem like a family thing. Because it's like
Yeah.
like your mother or your grandmother could remember things going way back, or your mother could remember something that she heard from her grandmother. Who knows? There's just so much you can find out and ask your mother about those things.
Absolutely. And, again, that just sparked another memory well, I shouldn't say a memory, but another tidbit that I learned from my mom. It's humorous, but it's kind of dark a little bit too. But I learned that my dad had. I mean, I always heard stories that he had a really kind of wicked, unique sense of humor. And he was a Monty Python fan back in the day.
Oh, sure. That says a lot.
But he also apparently, I'm not going to say he had an obsession. Obsession is too strong of a word, but he had. How can I word this? Death was on his mind, even when he was healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, take that as you will. And I'm going to butcher the story, how this goes, I'm sure. But the gist of it is, it was either when he was writing his master thesis, he was doing some sort of schoolwork, and he had to write a particular topic about something. I can't remember. Like I said, I'm butchering the story. Long story short, my mom, she's like, why are you always, so morbid kind of, always seem to be writing about or talking about death, and stuff. So why don't you write about happy things? Why don't you write about stuff that you love? And he goes, okay, I'll write a story called I Love Death.
Oh, jeez.
As a joke, pure joke.
Right.
But
Wow.
kind of,
That sounds like something I would say.
right. I love death. And again, I could be twisting that around, but that's the gist of the story. So I don't know if there's something always in the back of his head, like what was the root cause of that kind of that interest, the morbid interest in dying and death. I don't know. Did he? I'm going to sound silly. Did he somehow know something, Mike? I don't know.
Well, sure. I mean, you can have like a sensitive type feeling of, or people have an idea. Well, I really feel like I'm not going to live past 40 or 50 or whatever, and if they get that idea stuck in their head for whatever reason, it could be because of a lifestyle that they're living, or which doesn't apply to your dad, I'm sure, but
absolutely, absolutely not.
Right, but for any, or many reasons that could possibly be a thought.
Do you buy into a self-fulfilling prophecy, Mike?
Well, I think the mind can do anything.
Yeah, I do too.
And even if we don't know that it's doing it or that we are setting it up to do it, I believe if you think of something enough and you have it to where it's stuck, it's part of your life, it's part of your thought process, I think that can happen.
Absolutely. And I also think it's possible, too, that, if you let it get to a certain point, it can have negative health effects on you. It
Sure.
can, 100%.
Oh, absolutely. It could cause your stress level to go up if you worrying about it as you're thinking about it. And stress alone can do
it's a killer.
So much to a person, yeah.
It can be a killer.
Yep.
Another note I wrote down, Mike, I wrote down simply powerful dreams.
Oh,
Again,
yeah.
we've both had very powerful dreams, dreamlike encounters. Well, I shouldn't say dreamlike encounters, but encounters with passed on loved ones. I've shared stories on air about that, particularly with my grandpa. Again, my grandpa, my mom's dad, the one who first shared those ghost stories with me back in the day. I still see it in my brain. I shared it on the podcast episode a long time ago about I saw him, I was visiting him at his house, the house I used to love visiting as a kid. And he was there in the bedroom, and we were about ready to, I can't remember exactly what it was, if we were going to embrace or something, but at the very end, I couldn't reach him. He was gone, and it was so real, though. The house was just like I remembered. It smelled the same. It looked the same. He was the same. It was like I was there, but then I just couldn't quite get to him,
Yeah. Well, that could have been something out of your psyche that you've thought about and like you didn't you felt like you didn't get as close to your grandfather as you could have, or is there something missing from the relationship that you had with your grandfather, and maybe it came out in this dream, or maybe maybe it was your grandfather trying to communicate something to you. I don't know. That could go a lot of different ways.
Yeah, the thing is, and again, this is not. I don't want this to turn out into this is Patrick lying on a couch as a therapy session.
No, of course not.
This is all pertaining to the topic at hand.
Exactly.
Exactly. Why do it's? I mean, is it possible that paranormal experiences are more prone to happen to certain people and certain families? So that's what we're trying to stick to here. And sharing personal experiences is important to talk about when it comes to this topic.
Everybody that listens to us knows too much about my life, so let's get some of your deep dive family history.
What I was going to say there, though, about my grandpa is that my grandpa and I were ultra close. I don't think you can get closer to a grandpa. And again, not to sound cheesy or corny or sad even and stuff, but he really was my dad after my dad passed away. And I got super, super close with him. And then he passed 4 years after my dad passed when I was just going to be 13. So from 8 to 12 to 13, I had two just monumentally important people, fathers in my life, essentially taken away from me. So you can understand that that's something that I wonder about,
Sure.
every now and then.
And maybe that not being able to reach him in your dream, or just not enough to get right there to him, and I'm no psychotherapist, obviously, but after you lost, after you lost,
why am I paying you money then?
Are you putting it in some kind of a Swiss bank account? Because I haven't seen it. But anyway,
I'm sorry. Now I derailed Mike.
You did derail my whole thought process.
I'm sorry.
So what? Buttons. Yes.
When in doubt.
Yeah.
I think we should turn that into a Patreon shirt, by the way.
I've thought about it after we talked about it on that episode. But
anyway, I think, Mike, I'm sorry. I think with the new job and trying getting back on my not that I was ever knocked off my feet and stuff, because I had a nice job working as a para at the school and stuff, and then running the card shop. But
you weren't prone to the food banks like I have been for the last few months.
No, I get you, and I'm not complaining. I didn't mean that to come off like that.
I'm not complaining either. So,
but what I was going to say was, with becoming a little more comfortable here, I might just bite the bullet, Mike, because that's what's been holding us back for the Patreon thing, and we're opening up a vein here and stuff because we would love to put out awesome Patreon content. Like for people who are $5 subscribers and you're a subscriber for like 3 months in a row, you need to be rewarded. You need to get something. Right. And we want to be able to provide like t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, and I think I might just have to take that bite, Mike.
And they are available on the Patreon system that you're on. I mean, you can get these things.
Yes, you can. But what I was going to say is I think I might just have to bite that bullet and pay for it. I mean, we have to pay for it anyways. It sounds people who do Patreon knows how this works. Patreon take a chunk out of all your stuff. That's how Patreon makes their money, and yada yada yada. But I'm going to nip it in the bud right there. Long story short, too late. I really think we need to get like at least a T-shirt out there for people who are, loyal Patreon members.
Yeah.
Been around for a while.
And I do have that contact. I haven't talked to him since I've been ejected out of hospice, but
Ejected.
but his not for anything I did wrong. It's just my body.
No, but yes, we know.
But anyway, he still has that shop that he does all of that stuff, and
I think it'd be cool, and I think it'd just it'd be fun, and I really want to give back to the people who have supported the podcast, because it's no joke when we say that we appreciate that so much.
But yeah, absolutely. But we do need to think pretty deep and hard about if people are going to want a T-shirt with my face on it.
Well, that's right. So, send us ideas. If you guys want a Paranormally Zoned T-shirt, you want a T-shirt or a Paranormally Zoned mug or anything like that, send us ideas. What you think would be kind of cool. Any catchphrases of ours that annoy you so much that you want them plastered on a T-shirt and so on and so forth. Buttons, any sort of thing, any sort of idea we are open to. Just keep it clean, obviously, and we'll see where we can go.
And we've talked about that often, and we've always been serious about doing that.
Yes.
It's just that the opportunity and the means to do it, financially or for whatever reason, it just hasn't popped up. But boy, it is something we would love to do. Absolutely.
Okay, Mike. Now running down my notes here. Again, oh my gosh, yeah, we need to fly through this because we have to have time for the moments of the macabre because I got a good one. Macabre. If you recall a while ago, Mike, from 2 or 3 years ago, I had that really, really profound. Well, I shouldn't say profound. That odd experience that creeped me out, it weirded me out, where I felt like that one particular day, I felt like someone was trying to send me a message. I can't explain it any other way than that. We talked about it quite a bit on a podcast episode. This is before we switched to the Paranormally Zone, so this is going on 3-4 years ago now, whatever it was. Maybe even longer than that.
I know what it was. I have an idea of what that was. And
do you remember? Are you being serious, or are you set me up?
Listen. Don't doubt me so much all the time.
No, I don't doubt anything.
But the thing is that at that moment when you were feeling that, it was all the female listeners of the show thinking, "Oh, Patrick is so sexy. I really want a T-shirt with his face on it." That deserved a laugh track. Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty pathetic. But thank you.
But anyway, I pokered my face up for that one.
Yeah, you did. And I thought you were serious for a split second there.
Yeah.
But that whatever it was, it could have been a very positive thing, Mike, but it really weirded me out. I still can't describe how I felt. All I know is someone that felt so familiar to me was trying to send me some sort of message. That's all I can say. I kept getting this physical sensation, like it was hitting me in the bottom of my spine, and it go up through the top of my head, and I was like going, what is happening? What are you trying to say? It was really weird. Again, we talked about it on the episode.
Yes.
I was talking to Bridget when it happened, and I told her, I was like, this is really weirding me out. I don't know what the hell is going on. You were saying, you should have been more accepting of it and looked at it as a beautiful thing, and someone's trying to contact you. And I wrote down, just for this episode, I wrote this down. I said, odd experience, weirded me out. Why hasn't it happened since? And then I answer my own question. It hasn't happened since, Mike, because whomever was trying to reach me realized how freaked out I was, and they're taking it easy on me now. They're like, I don't know if he's ready to do this yet, so we're not going. If he reacted that way, basically kind of negatively, because it kind of freaked me out. I'll be honest. I wasn't just weirded out. I was kind of shell shocked.
Yeah. Well, something that strong, you have to take it as an actual event. It wasn't something that was like I've said before, jokingly, it's a piece of undigested beef from something, kind
Yeah,
of thing.
it was more than that.
But
More than that.
the first thing that comes to my mind, and very strong, and you've had this many times, and you know it, is your friend.
Oh, yes. You've told me this. Yes.
It's so strong with me, and
I got chills when you said that. Yeah.
it's not, I am trying to be more open and work my way into being more open with that sensitivity, because I want to be in contact. I want to be, with, that into that whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
But the feelings that I get, I have to start trusting more what I see, what I feel, what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, I tell you, your friend comes across so strong, which I need to see if I can get more contact with him. So
That'd be fantastic.
if you want to text me, I don't want to, anything over the air or anything. Text me his name and things, and
absolutely, I will.
And I'll just go from there, and hope something comes. Oh, there she is.
There's the dog.
Hi, Macy. Or that.
I think, I'm going to do that.
Done yet. I'm not done yet, but you'll know when I am. She always.
I think I'm going to send you. I'll send you when we're done recording. I'll text you his name.
Yes. Now, I'm just what's coming out of my head right now and coming through is, did he have dark hair? Like you?
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. Not svelte, but he was definitely, there was more to him than you.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Body shape and size wise, taller. I'm seeing a fair face in my head, not unattractive and not, but pleasant. I mean, he was a pleasant person.
I can see that. Yep, I can see where you're going here. He
And
was.
I've never seen the guy. I've never met him.
Just so our listeners don't have to endure moments like this, but we just go with it. Longtime listeners know that sometimes this happens. Yes, but yeah, you're right. He was.
My bell is broken.
Not we're. I don't know how to describe it without sounding silly, but yes, you are correct. He had a pretty healthy build. I mean, he was bigger than me.
Right.
But it wasn't like a massive guy.
I was going to say
if you saw him though, it's like, I don't want to mess with that guy. He looks like he's in shape and he could kick my butt.
Right.
And yeah, he was about 3 or 4 inches taller than me, maybe not quite that much.
Well, it's not hard to be bigger or taller than you.
Okay. Yeah.
But anyway.
So anyway, sorry. Yeah, we'll go. I'll text you some information. That's interesting. This is, hey, we're all spur of the moment off the top of our head conversation here on the Paranormal Zone, but that's what we're good at.
Well, anyway, I feel that right there that I had, especially talking to you, is the beginning of a connection. I'm not going to promise anything. I never can.
Well, and you knew his mom because she worked at our former place of employment. She used to work at the front desk. And
yes, I love that lady.
Yes, and she's very spiritual.
Yes.
Very spiritual.
Well, she actually gave me some very nice. I'm into rocks, gemstones, and things like that. She actually gave me a few pieces that were beautiful.
Yeah,
and as a spiritual gift, I guess. Wonderful lady, absolutely wonderful.
She was at his funeral. She was a rock, and she said some really beautiful things. And she said she took, and I believe her, and I think that she believed it 110%. She said that she takes comfort in knowing that her son is part of the universe now. That's how she said it. Like literally a part of it.
Yeah, and that's her. That's what I remember about her.
So, Mike, how do we wrap up this conversation before we go into the moments of the macabre? Because we'll be running a little bit long here. Jesus, I hit my microphone. Some of these quote unquote scientific explanations for people who claim to have experienced ghostly encounters with those who have died, Mike, family members in particular. Obviously, we have what is referred to, well, not obviously. One thing is called simply post-bereavement hallucinations.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I do believe that could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this stuff is 100% legit too. We know that this is real. This happens, but does it account for all of the encounters? Well, we don't know.
Right. Well, I got to just interject where, shortly after Mary, my wife's father passed away, she did see him, and if I remember the story right, and then she's on the other side of my wall over here. I hope I'm not butchering it too much, but she saw him like outside in a field, like at a distance, but just what's that?
Oh, she said it was before he passed.
Oh, it was
that
before
she saw
he
him.
passed, but she's okay, and she saw him like walking by these trees out in like by a field or something like that. It's a wonderful story. Like I said, I'm butchering it, but to see that before he passed,
That's
totally
really
forgot
interesting.
That, that is interesting. Yeah, there's some kind of a, like a preparation for her or something. I don't know.
Maybe it was
What's
some
that,
sort
hon?
of vision, maybe.
Okay, 6 months later, she did see him as well after he passed away.
Wow. Another potential explanation, Mike, is simply the brain processing, the time it takes for your brain to adjust to the notion that the fact that your loved ones are no longer there. It is a process. Physically, your brain finds it difficult in some cases, if not most cases, to recognize that your loved one is no longer here.
And your brain might go into kick into some protection mode or
right, exactly.
Or,
coping mode, coping mechanism.
Coping, that's the word I was looking for, yeah.
Another potential explanation, traumatic grief. If a loved one unfortunately suffers a traumatic death, I mean, they're all traumatic, obviously, but you know what I'm saying, like a car crash, murder, what have you.
Yeah.
Some people claim that makes the brain more apt to conjure up or experience flashbacks / recurring memories. And so you are kind of overwhelmed. You're traumatized to the point that your memory floods itself with images of your loved one.
Yeah, another type of coping mechanism gone crazy, maybe.
I mean, right, exactly. And so much so that maybe you're having so many flashbacks, maybe you're having so many recurring memories that it seems to you, as weird as it is, that they are still there because you are experiencing them still.
And that wish and want for that person to still be there and not have gone through what they did.
Mike, that's the very next one. It's called wishful psychosis.
Sure.
It is actually a term that was coined by one Sigmund Freud. Wishful psychosis.
Yeah, but he was a nut.
Well, he had a brain on him, that's for sure.
He did.
Where you basically conjure up memories and you have visions of the dead. He also referred to this as a form of temporary madness.
Sure. But he was no Einstein, though.
Well, who was besides Einstein? Now the dogs are getting antsy. They know that we're going to rush through this stuff, but we can't really rush through it too much. But I'm trying to.
Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. Carry
on.
Some
of the very real, legit, possible ghostly experiences, Mike, are sensory in nature. We mentioned them before. You could smell your dad. Some people say that maybe they can feel the presence. I mentioned that earlier. My mom feeling that weight on her bed. My brother feeling that weight. Some even seeing people. We're talking about the sensory, or we're talking about senses here. Yep. Well, you got to mute your mic there if you're going to pound your dog violently to the point of a pulpy, furry mess.
No, she just came up and put her paws on my shoulder, like, what's going on?
Now, some of those sensory experiences, I don't know if what I had, Mike, could be classified as a sensory experience. I know I felt different. I know I was feeling something. I'm not sure if that would qualify as a sensory experience.
I would say that would fit.
A lot of people believe in symbolic communication, Mike. Again, something that maybe perhaps you and only this other person, maybe a gesture that you two shared, maybe a song would pop on the radio that only you and your friend, that's my personal example. I hear that certain songs I hear on the radio at certain times, I'm flooded with a feeling of like, oh, he's here, or he's trying to talk to me. There's no other way of explaining it. We've all had moments like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Very random, what we interpret as symbolic communication, just out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's like when I hear the song Eye on the Sparrow, my mother pops up.
Really? Okay.
But, you don't hear that very often. But when I was working with hospice, I would go to nursing homes or people's homes, and they would be playing hymns, and that would come up. I would just, I'd hold it together, but I would be melting.
Oh, that would just be hitting you hard.
Oh, very hard. Yeah.
Yep. I see. And again, we tease and we kid each other and stuff, but I definitely I definitely do feel like I'm sensitive, and I am sensitive, as Mike knows. But
you cry easily. You cry very easily.
That's not true.
No,
that's not true at all.
I
wish sometimes, in all honesty, if we're being honest with each other, sometimes I wish I did more. Yeah. I can't remember. Yeah. I can't remember the last time I did.
I get emotional at Hallmark movies pretty much.
Yeah, you do.
Mary and I watch a lot of them.
Yeah, Mike cries the moment he sees Meredith Baxter Burney on his television screen because he knows it's going to be some cheesy 80s special.
One. Oh, man.
Go look her up. All you youngsters listening right now, go look up Meredith Baxter Burney and you'll get the joke.
Yeah.
We already talked about dreams earlier, potentially family members, past loved ones, friends, whatever, who, visiting you in your dreams, because maybe it's easy for them. We've talked about that several times on the podcast. We definitely are open to that possibility. This one is kind of a skeptical way of looking at it. A lot of people claim the more religious, quote unquote, religious one is, the more likely they are to report having such ghostly spiritual encounters, simply based on how much they believe in life after death, I suppose, or religion in itself. Not necessarily, they don't believe in religion, but in some sort of otherworldly power. Mm-hmm. Well, Mike, I'm thinking family members who have passed on, good friends who have passed on. We joke about this. I think that, yes, they are always with us, but no, they're not watching us while we're taking a dump.
Right.
They're not spying on us in the shower. They're not getting their ghostly, they're not getting, okay, I was going to say something really sick there, but I'll stop right there. They're not getting their ghostly jollies off, in the afterworld, watching, spying on us in bed. No.
Right.
But they're there when they want to be.
Yeah. There are entities and spirits that we don't even know that are with us. I mean, for the example of the house that I live in, the spirits that seem to be here, that it's part of the history of the house. I mean, but the family members, like we all miss them, and that sends out an energy. And why can't the passed over loved ones and the ones that we were so close with, why can't they sometimes miss us and need to have some kind of contact with us and let us know, and make sure that we experience something that they can do physically to know that we would know that they're there, or they're thinking of us, or their energy is there at that moment.
Yeah, it's an interesting way of looking at it, because I guess we kind of take for granted, how those who have passed on may or not process thoughts, or, is it similar in any way or completely different, but yeah, I never thought of it that way. It's like, how they probably want some sort of confirmation that, we know that they're there.
Yeah. And hey, don't forget me,
Yeah, exactly. That's, I like that. That's a good way of looking at it too. So, all you ghosts who have been trying to contact me, I apologize. It is not done with any sort of dismissiveness, or it's. I want to get that proverbial ghostly slap in the face. So
you need to get that last bit of skeptical bone out of your body.
I know.
But you have been contacted. Your dog has even came to you, for crying out loud.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
Yeah. So,
And I told spirit animals, man. I mean, not even necessarily spirit animals, but just the spirits of your fur babies, you know?
well, that would be a good episode of, spirit animals,
Yeah. I love that
ghostly
idea.
encounters with the
Well,
animal kingdom.
Lord knows your house has that damn cat running around in there.
Yeah. Marlon Perkins, boy, he'd be right there,
There you go.
hosting that one. But I don't know. But to go back just for a second, you're talking about dreams. I was going to mention this when you were talking about the dreams. It was so real of your grandfather. The dream that sticks with me so deeply and so much, and I've told you this before, I probably talked about it on air years ago, but there was a time that I had a dream that about Burl Ives and I interacting. Now, I am serious, and it's a dream that really has stuck with me.
I'm sorry. No, I believe you. That was the last thing I expected to come out of your mouth right there.
And I'm not, poker face and nothing. This was a dream that still sticks with me. I mean, I was out in this beautiful area, houses and very nice, clean neighborhoods, and it felt. I mean, it's like I could feel this beautiful, weather and everything. But here I go up these stairs at the back of this house into this back porch, and I'm like, Burl Ives lives here, and we're going to have, some time together. I knock on the door. His wife answers the door, and I said, I'm here to see Burl Ives. He came out, and we were talking about all kinds of things. But here to find out, Burl Ives thought like you and I did. He was a very spiritual person. He knew about the afterlife. He lived that, knowing that belief with him. It was very strong with him.
Really? I didn't know that.
And that's what Burl Ives and I were talking about in this dream. This dream that seems so real.
That is crazy.
And I remember it like yesterday, but it was probably, well, it's when I lived in Park Rapids. I'm
no kidding.
Surprised I wouldn't have told you that, but yeah, it was a fantastic dream. And
you probably did. I just blocked it out.
Yeah, maybe. The memory of it really has stuck with me. Funny, yes. Comical, but very true.
Well, Mike, we got to fly through some moments of the macabre. I still haven't got any good music, so this is for now. This is our temporary intro for moment. This is our mom intro. Okay, that will work for now.
And that says a lot.
That says a lot. Okay, Mike, I got some historical facts that we kind of wish we had never learned. Okay.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, God, some of these are terrible. Some of these are absolutely terrible. Did you know, Mike, that an entire factory crew happily worked with radium in the 1920s and that most of them died horrifically of radiation poisoning not very long afterwards?
Well, there was factories of where I think it was a lot of ladies that did this. They would...
Yes, you're right.
During the war, they would actually put the radium on the watches to make the numbers glow at night.
Yeah, it's again, Mike, all the scientists probably thought that they knew everything back then. They should have just quit,
Right. Sure.
I mean, they didn't think anything was wrong with radium back then.
Sure.
This one is pretty... I can't believe this. This is absolutely bizarre. In the 18th century, Mike, a woman actually convinced doctors that she was giving birth to rabbits. Now, let me explain.
Yeah, please do.
Mary Toft, Mike, reportedly gave birth to up to 9 of these fluffy creatures at a time. Mm-hmm. Doctors were convinced that Mary was telling the truth until they found pieces of corn inside the stomach of one of the rabbits, proving that it hadn't developed inside of Mary's womb. However, this is where it gets lovely. It turned out that one Mary Taft, in order to make the deliveries look as realistic as possible, well, Mike, she began manually
okay,
inserting dead rabbits in order to stop there.
Birth them.
Birth them.
That
Oh boy.
there's a sickness there.
You think?
There's just think of the physical health detrimental
Oh my God.
situation, depravity, if you will.
Yeah, you're speechless, aren't you?
Take it back.
No, I told you these are historical facts that you kind of wish you didn't know.
All right, on to the next.
This one's just disturbing. Until very recently, I mean, comparatively speaking, until very recently, it was believed that babies could not feel pain.
Well, yeah,
so
that's
often
they gave them circumcisions.
Right.
Oh, they don't feel it.
Exactly. So that they often had operations done on them without any anesthesia. Doctors would instead use muscle relaxers that had a paralytic effect to stop the baby from moving. So they paralyzed the baby, basically. This meant that while the babies could not move or cry while they were being operated on, they could still, in fact, see, hear, and feel everything that was being done to them. This was largely accepted until the late 1980s.
Oh, my God. Well, that's like, you hear the stories, and, they're probably local legend type things or wives' tales, but you hear of somebody that has died. Well, I think they've said they had some scary shows on about it, like whatever. But anyway.
Like whatever.
The person laying on the autopsy table. I think Edgar Allan Poe wrote a story about this.
Yeah,
and
yes.
They're paralyzed. They can't move, and all of a sudden they're having an autopsy done on them, and they're experiencing the whole thing.
No.
Well, until you're not going to last very long with that. I mean, but you can imagine what you would feel. I'm not saying that actually happened, but who knows?
Well, Mike, this article gave us 21 facts, but we're running short on time, so I'm just going to fly through a few of them here. I'm going to pick and choose. In the 1930s London, Mike, parents used to hang their babies in cages outside their windows. And there's a picture of one child, looks like about 3 stories up. It looks like a mattress inside of a bird cage sticking out the window. This was supposedly to supply the baby with fresh air.
Right, exactly.
Which was hard to come by back in the day. It was vital for a baby's development. The contraptions were designed so that babies could still benefit from this fresh air and sunshine, but not having a garden to safely play outside in. So let's dangle our babies outside of the window. Sounds like a plan.
Well, but it wasn't like Michael Jackson when he dangled blanket over the the balcony for a second. He got a lot of crap for that.
Oh yeah, he did. This is again. They don't call this macabre and disturbing for nothing, boys and girls. A 17th century woman gave birth after she had already died, and this was not very unique in nature by any means. Archaeologists discovered the mother's remains laying face up, suggesting a deliberate burial, with the skeleton of a fetus in between her legs and only the legs of the baby still inside of her. There have been very few other instances of this happening throughout history. It's called, Mike, a coffin birth.
Oh, boy.
Very close to my last name, not Coffenberg, a coffin birth. It can happen when the pregnant corpse releases gases while decomposing that pushes the stillborn fetus outside. There you go.
I think you should change your name to Patrick
Coffenberg.
Coffin birth.
Oh, no.
Anyway.
No. Hey, we kind of mentioned that before. Did you know that Mike being buried alive was way more common than you might have thought of in the 18th century?
Mm-hmm.
The mortality rate in the 18th century was so high that doctors weren't always present to make sure the patient was actually dead, so you can guess what actually happened. So witnesses would often take the apparent lack of breathing or pulse as enough of a confirmation he's dead, bury him. Problem got so bad that people started taking additional measures to make sure the corpse was dead before burying them, including shouting in the ear, sticking needles under their toenails,
Jeez.
and then whipping them with nettles.
Go out and pick a few nettles out of the backyard and just whip the heck out of them.
Now, Mike, in Germany, they went even a step further where they set up, quote, hospitals for the dead to observe the rotting process before the bodies were buried. So you had to start decomposing.
Yeah. I think this one's done.
Exactly.
But
my God.
The live burials, and I'm sure a lot of people know this, that's where they started putting the bells outside of the grave and a string running from that down to the coffin. And that's actually where the phrase "saved by the bell" came from.
Very true, Mike. You are very
later to
very
become
true.
A very entertaining teenage school show.
I know that show far too well. Zach Morris, AC Slater. The whole crew. Screech, R.I.P. Screech.
Oh yeah, boy, he turned into a neat guy as an adult.
Kelly Kapowski, Jessica Spano, and Lisa Turtle. Principal Belding. Oh, yeah, I know all of them, Mike.
Yeah, I fortunately do not know so much about it.
I'd say unfortunately.
Okay.
Oh, where you go? Oh, the Hinterkaifeck murders. Yep, we got that. We've talked about this before. In Victorian England, Mike, people used to take pictures of their dead relatives in lifelike positions to keep as mementos. We've mentioned that before.
Yeah, those pictures are very, very collectible and have been for a long time.
Did you know that human remains were a very common ingredient in medicine up until the 20th century?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, mummy remains were particularly valued as remedies. In fact, there are so few mummies these days precisely because of this high demand for human flesh at that time.
Yeah, and then when they ran out of mummies, they started doing grave robbing and but they did that for more experimental.
I'm quite familiar with this story. I wouldn't necessarily call this macabre. I'd say it's more fascinatingly coincidental, or perhaps it isn't. We all know about the Titanic disaster, Mike. The ship sank in 1912, me being kind of a Titanic
freak.
I don't want to say freak.
Yeah.
I've known about this story, but did you know, Mike, that a book was published in 1898, 14 years before the Titanic sank, referring to, guess what, a giant ship called the Titan.
Right.
That while on its maiden voyage across the Atlantic Ocean, struck an iceberg, Mike, and sank in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Titan.
Yeah.
Iceberg. I believe there were similar. I believe it was inadequately prescribed. I don't know if that's not a right word, but the amount of lifeboats wasn't exactly up to snuff.
I like the lifeberg.
Lifeberg and coffin berths.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could change your name to that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Mike, did you know in the Middle Ages, if someone was hanged for a crime, their body was often left on the gallows for several years? It was referred to as gibbeting. Gibbetting.
And for what reason does it say?
It was often used simply to deter other people from committing crimes.
Well, that's like Genghis Khan.
And funny you just said that.
Other, like putting heads on the poles and Vlad Dracula, even Vlad the Impaler, did the same thing with whole bodies.
Well, Mike, funny you mentioned Genghis Khan, because in the 13th century, old Khan killed so many peasants that the carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere was actually significantly reduced as a result.
And now we have that because of cow shit and farts.
Yeah. Well, we can thank Genghis Khan, I guess.
Genghis Khan.
Genghis. Okay.
My lovely wife, she has like a 2% Mongolian heritage.
I remember you saying that. Let's see here. Let's wrap it up on this one. This seems like an interesting story. Mike, in 1929, a man was murdered in his shop, and the killer escaped, somehow leaving it still locked from the inside. Creepy.
Murder in the Rue Morgue, done by Edgar Allan Poe.
30-year-old Isidore Fink was shot 3 times inside his laundry business, Mike, which had been side-locked from the inside. No money was taken, no weapon or substantial clue of any kind was found except for a broken hinge on the small transom window above his door. Police had managed to get in through the broken window, although they used a child, as it was too small for an adult to get through. Whether the baffling crime was committed by a kid or a very small adult, it still begs the question. If the killer had managed to crawl back through the transom window, why would they do this instead of simply locking and walking through the door?
Yeah,
Something to make you ponder.
I suggest you read Edgar Allan Poe's Murder in the Rue Morgue.
You know, that reminds me of, I will. Thank you for that suggestion. That reminds me, Mike, of, we'll wrap it up here. One of those scenes that my OCD self gets bothered by in the all-time classic Shawshank Redemption. You know, Andy Dufresne, he digs his way through the prison walls to his eventual escape, right?
Absolutely.
He ties his goodies to his feet before he commences his final escape. He covers up his hole on the wall. He always had them covered up with various posters of
Rita Hayworth.
I think it ended up with Raquel Welch because it was the 1960s when he finally escaped.
Well,
Mike,
actually,
my pet peeve.
Yes.
How the hell, when the warden discovered his escape and he ripped the poster off the wall, how was the poster reattached to the wall if Andy was escaping head and hand first with his feet being the last through that damn hole? How the hell was that poster still taped on the wall?
We should ask Stephen King that.
I think so, too.
Because he wrote the story, and it was actually originally Rita Hayworth in the Shawshank Redemption Center.
You are correct, sir.
And I have that. I've sold most of my Stephen King books now, unfortunately. but anyway, yeah. And actually, when the poster was taken down and somebody was sent in there to check it out, in the book, he left piles and piles of human excrement to meet whoever was going to come in that tunnel after him. They were going to get it.
Oh man! Well,
great story in the book. You got to read it. Yeah,
Mike, this has been awesome. We went really long, but I think it's worth it. I think this has been a great discussion. We covered a lot. Hopefully our listeners enjoyed this one. Again, if you guys if you like the podcast and you want to support us, no better way than to sign up for the Patreon page. You can sign up for as little as $1 a month. We have all sorts of fun goodies over there. And future goodies available for purchase. That's the plan coming up. We're going to do it. Buttons maybe on your shirt. Sometimes.
It's been years in the works, but if we can finally do it.
Yeah. And we thank everyone for being so damn patient with us, too. So.
Yeah.
Mike, I'll let you go, buddy. I got to put the episode together. I'll send you a link. I'll let you know when it's published. This has been a blast. Until then, what do our paranormal pals need to do?
Always and never forget, just be happy and peace out.